Hello and welcome to a very special Legio Custodes video. Go and make yourself a nice hot beverage, grab a couple of bickies and join me for an overview of my Custodian Guard army so far. So this is my entire Legio Custodes force. I have been requested to make this video by a couple of people, so here it is. It consists of pretty much every single unit that Forge World have brought out for the Custodian Guard, with the exception of the Custodes tank, the Annihilator version. I probably would like to get an Annihilator at some point. The Arachnus heavy blaze cannon is a fantastic weapon. Great that it's got the two profiles too. There's even a unit that's sort of almost slightly to the left. It's such a big unit that it's hard to fit in, that's not up for pre-order. It's not up for order at Forge World's website yet, and that is the Orion Dropship on the left. This whole army here, although it only consists of 42 models, this collection here will cost you £1,154. So that is about 1,400 US dollars. Obviously the most expensive unit there is the Orion Dropship. These aren't fully painted by any means, I have to say that right now. There's only one painted model here, and that's why it takes me a long time to paint, because I'm just a bit of a perfectionist, and I spend hours painting models just to get them right. I mean, most people would be happy with just these as they are, you know, but no. I have to sort of spend such a long time sort of highlighting and all the rest of it. My newest models, obviously the Orion Dropship and the Aquilon Terminators. I recently put out reviews on those two sets. I think they're just huge models and they just fit the whole aesthetic really well. The Coronis was my biggest unit and the most expensive. That was £110, but now it's the Orion Dropship. It's difficult to get sort of like a sense of scale from the Dropship, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to move all of these models around a little bit to give you just a sense of scale of it. But firstly, I'll just move the camera and zoom in on some of the units. So there's the Orion Dropship. Picked that up on the Forge World Open Day, middle of August. Then right here you've got the three jet bikes. Looks like one of the spears is bent. That does happen with sort of resin, but a quick blow of the head right, that'll sort that out. I've got a Palace grav tank. I've got a Custodes. That sort of crimson red will be more like the Coronis, by the way. Speaking of which, there's Coronis. It's nowhere near finished at all. It needs to be highlighted, washed and all the rest of it, especially the top guns. Move to the Dreadnoughts. You've got the Achilles and the Custodes, I think they're called. There's the Telemon heavy dreadnought, largest dreadnought in the model range, and that's the only model that is fully completed. Then you've got the Aquilon Terminators, and well, 3 with the twin-linked Drathic Destructors and 3 with the Infernus Firepikes. Then to the left there you've got 10 Sagittarium Guard. Then you've got 5 Custodian Guard with a combination of spears and swords. And likewise you've got more collection, another 5, and then another 5 at the front, along with Ixian Hail, which is an exclusive miniature for Forge World. I really can't believe it. Every time I sort of make a video or whatever, I've either got a bird making noise or a fighter jet above me, and today it's peeing it down with rain. I'm not just adding a sound effect, it's been like this pretty much all day, but hopefully you can hear me, and it's a damn sight easier to hear myself than a fighter jet. Anyway, I'll try not to let it dampen my spirits. Okay, well, I don't really know whether this is a better angle of the army at all. I mean, now the dropship takes up pretty much all of the room, but at least this way it goes to show you just how big the dropship is. It's a bit of a showpiece to the army. Definitely a big model in the Custodes army. Okay, this is probably a better sort of angle I've got now. It's a bit more sort of close. You've got the dropship there. Gives you a sense of scale. We don't know what the rules are with the dropship yet. Maybe it's up for pre-order this Friday, as in today, if I'm releasing this on the Friday. Maybe it's next weekend. Who really knows? But I'll be sure to make another video when the rules for that model drops. You got the Dreadnoughts and the jet bikes. I mean, I really like the jet bikes. I'm a big fan of them. Yeah, they're pricey at, you know, they're £90 for 3, pretty much £30 each. But they're lovely looking models, and I'd love to get another 3 or another 6 to add to this collection. I think that would really balance it out. Likewise, I'd love to get the Annihilator tank too at some point, just for a bit of variety. It's a shame that Forge World don't make the turret separate. I mean, they make all the Dreadnought weapons separate, because I would jump at the chance of getting the Annihilator turret. No real need to get another Coronis. I'm happy with the one, and I've got the dropship as well, and failing all that, you can always teleport them all in. Really do like the Aquilin Terminators. They're my new favourite models in the whole range, in the whole, you know, Horus Heresy 40k. They're everything I sort of hoped they'd be, and I'm really looking forward to Constantine Valdor. Just how big that model is, more than anything. I'm really interested how big they go for him, whether he's got the Mohawk or whatever. Standard Custodians, still very good models. They only came out sort of November last year. I think I've got my fill of them though, put it that way. I've got plenty of Sagittarum, I've got plenty of normal Custodians. I think 15 base is great, 10 Sagittarum is great. Could probably do with maybe another 3 Terminators. So I have a nice selection of 9 of those, and 25 normal Custodians. But yeah, they're really missing a shield captain. You know, hopefully Forge World will create a shield captain that isn't a special character or anything like that. But my guess is they'll probably bring out Constantine Valdor before they do that. Really like the Telemon Dreadnought, and the new, I think it's the Iliastus accelerator cannon that's on the Caladius over there. I think that is coming for the Telemon at some point as a separate weapon arm. Personally, I prefer the longer range and higher power, higher strength of the heavy Arachnus blaze cannon. I think it's an incredible weapon. You know, strength 10, one shot, and with the exo shock, I think it's a great weapon. And then both the Contempt of Dreadnaughts are very, very meaty. They've both got their pros and cons, especially with the Achilles, with that spear and his ability to have it attack as a strength destroyer. Very dangerous. But yeah, be interesting to find out what the rules are, what the rules will be for the Orion. I'm thinking at least the same transport capacity as the Coronis, which is 12. That's not too bad. I mean, you know, you can carry 12 models. Terminator's counting as 2 maybe, so you carry the 6. I'd be surprised if it's 10. I really would. It's definitely wider in transport capacity and longer than the Coronis, so I wouldn't be surprised if it could hold 20. I mean, a Thunderhawk can hold 30 Space Marines, so if they can push it and have 20 as the capacity, I think they're going to sell a lot more. If they keep it as 12 as the Coronis, I think people are going to stick with the Coronis, to be fair. You know, it's almost, I say almost 3 times as much. It's not, because that would be £55 more than 3 times, but it's still 2.5 times more than a Coronis. But it does have much better armaments. You know, it's got 2 twin-linked Lastron bolt cannons. We think in the instruction book it says heavy bolters. I doubt they're heavy bolters. They've got the heavy Arachnus blaze cannons, 2 of them, rather than the twin-linked Arachnus blaze cannon on the Coronis. Furthermore, it's got 2 spiculous bolt launchers, and it's probably got some great shielding. I mean, it's got like a dome thing on the top. You can just see it there. That's got to be something to do with the shielding. There's got to be some kind of rule about grav backwash, about it landing, because there's no landing feet at all on it. I'm really looking forward to when the rules come out. I hope it doesn't disappoint all of us that have that model. I've recently been getting a few questions regarding Custodians, and a lot of people not even buying the models because of the game set that they're based in. Now, 8th edition has been out for a couple of months now, but for a while many people moved to 7th edition or the Horus Heresy because of the rule set. The rule set just worked for Space Marines on Space Marines. In extension, the Solar Auxilia and the Mechanicum. But all of a sudden, 8th edition's out, and everybody wants 8th edition rules for all these models, which is fair enough. You know, if that motivates you to buy them, then, you know, you'll buy them and you'll use them in 8th. I don't know whether they'll be overpowered in 8th. There's plenty of units that Forge World are bringing out, like the Omega Tank Destroyer and the Arcus, Sicaran and newer tanks. There'll be the Primaris Super Heavy Tank in the next couple of months, I would have thought. There's plenty of bigger models like the Warlord Titan and the Stormbird, things like that, that can really change the game. So that can be used in 40k. So I wouldn't think it's too big an issue to allow all of the Custodian Guard into 40k. That's where they originally started, sort of. In the Burning and Prospero, they sort of had 40k rules, and that's where they started off. There weren't any Dreadnoughts, there weren't any tanks or anything like that for the Custodian Guard before the plastic Custodian Guard models came out, and then that just created an avalanche of all these resin kits. At the moment, the 40k rules for Custodian Guard are in this book, but they're also in the index book. This is, I say, outdated. I mean, this was in the Talons of the Emperor box set, which only came out probably a month or so before the new edition came out. And in here, it's got 3 units. It's got the Custodian Guard squad, it's got the Venerable Contempt of Dreadnaught, and it's got the Land Raider. So they do sort of already exist in 40k, but most of the models that are here don't exist in the 40k game. And I personally believe that that has something to do with the fluff. Now, fluff and lore, they can be modified and changed a little bit. You see that with the Spartan Land Raider, you see that with the Sicaran and other older STCs from the Horus Heresy sort of era. Forge World have got around that by saying, oh well, it's a relic and you can only have one, and same with the Leviathan Dreadnought. Lore wise, these Custodian Guard, they were very active in the Horus Heresy, obviously, because, you know, during the Great Crusade they were obviously the Emperor's personal bodyguard. So they had to protect him above all else. If they didn't protect him, then it would be likely that the crusade wouldn't have been able to continue and all the rest of it. And likewise, in the Horus Heresy, they were also very active, specifically with Prospero, the Emperor sending them and the Space Wolves to go after Magnus. Fast forward in time to the 41st millennium. For the 10,000 years, they haven't been active at all. They've stayed put on Terra, guarding the Golden Throne. I think they still number in the 10,000. I've never read anything about their vehicles or their tanks or the dropship or anything like that in the lore. Maybe all of that stuff is still there. Maybe the actual Terminators, the suits and things are still there too. But even where we are now in the timeline, 100 years after Rabute Guilliman's campaign, you had 100 years of Primaris being engaged in battle, working with the other sort of standard Space Marines. Only after these 100 years, after the 41st millennium, have we seen a bit of a resurgence in Custodian activity. More of an advisory role, but not in sort of a battlefield capacity as such. Maybe we'll get that as more sort of novels and more lore are released and written. I'm very interested to read the new book by Chris Raitt, The Emperor's Legion, which documents the Custodian Guard in the 41st millennium. So maybe it will touch upon the different units and how they work in that novel. Hope it does. I'll probably do a review of that book as well. So for now, if you want a Custodian Guard army, now obviously the rules and the game system in which models are set is a big influencer. It doesn't influence me at all. For me, it's all about the model. Do I like the look of that model? How is it going to fit in with my current force? You guys that play games a lot, go to clubs, I totally understand that. You know, you want to get these models and play them and get the most out of them. Absolutely fine. Now, I have every hope that in the future they will spread this force out and progress them into 8th edition. If not only 8th edition Horus Heresy, but 8th edition, 40k. At some point. It makes more sense just from a business point of view. You know, you can use the same model in 2 game systems, therefore you're capturing everybody from the 40k game system as potential customers that really like the models, but they also want to use them in that game system, which is great. So for now, we're limited to the Horus Heresy gaming system, the rules of which you can find in Book 7, Inferno. And all of these models here have the rules, with the exception of the dropship. They're a very elite force. Think of sort of Grey Knights, but without that Psyker aspect. They're incredibly tough. They're very expensive, both in real money, because, you know, there's, what, 48 models there for over £1,000. I mean, that's a huge amount. And even the cheapest models, the 5 plastic models there, for £35. That's a lot of money. You know, £7 each for their little plastic miniature. So they are expensive money-wise, and they are expensive points-wise. Don't know how much the dropship is, but you're looking at the Jetbike Squadron for the 3, 225 points without the Adrathic Devastator or the Corvée Blaspulsar. You're looking at the Sagittarum Squad at 185 points, the Contempt of Dreadnaughts Dreadnought at 250, the Caladius at 195. You know, you're pretty much looking at 200 points or more per unit. So the points do add up very quickly in an army like this. So you've got to use them very effectively, like a tip of a spear, and neutralise high points cost targets, high value targets on the battlefield to try and make up their points as quickly as possible. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video of my Custodian Guard army so far. I will be making another video at some point showcasing both all of the Primaris new releases and my Primaris Space Marine army so far too. So stay tuned for that. Thank you ever so much for joining me today. Thank you for watching. The Emperor protects.